I hear this is a good one. Who's that guy? Yush.
I wish he never went away.
Yo. Why'd you look like that?
No talking.
Who said that?
Just like I was waking up from a bad dream. That whole life.
Turn your phone off.
Do you
That
see
whole
me
reality
texting?
Where I was Maddie Wilson.
Let's talk about it. Hey, how's it going, people? Welcome to Hawachi Cinema. Today we are checking out I Saw the TV Glow. For those who haven't already seen the movie I Saw the TV Glow, this video will spoil the whole movie. So if you haven't already watched it, be warned. This movie is about two kids growing up in the suburbs who feel out of place, but share a common interest in a TV show called The Pink Opaque. The film delves into their relationship with each other and the show and explores the idea of reality not always being what it immediately seems. In the movie, one of the characters, Maddie, has a much deeper interest in the Pink Opaque than Owen does, our other and arguably more central protagonist. To Maddie, the Pink Opaque is more real than real life, and towards the end of the movie, she fully believes that she is literally Tara from the show, trapped in what is called the Midnight Realm. In other words, she believes her life as Maddie isn't real. To Owen, though, it's just a TV show. He spends most of the movie just trying to live a comfortable life, enjoying the Pink Opaque as his favorite TV show of all time and nothing more. Because of how the movie depicts Owen's perspective on the matter, I thought Maddie was wrong and the Pink Opaque was just a TV show the first time I watched the movie. But then on my second viewing of the movie, I still believed that the Pink Opaque was just a TV show. Originally, I thought there was enough evidence throughout the movie for viewers to side with either Maddie or Owen on their thoughts on them being in the Midnight Realm. And I thought that was a bit lazy on the writer's side. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy a good mind puzzle every now and then. But I always feel a bit disappointed when they won't tell me if my guess was right or wrong.
Tell me I'm right.
So I wanted to make a video going over the evidence and discuss why the kids are not in the Midnight Realm. But then it happened. I switched sides.
Oh no!
I found that the evidence for them being trapped in the Midnight Realm was the only justifiable one at some point in my research. Now by research, I don't mean any kind of research outside the movie itself. I believe whatever's on screen is all you should need to form a conclusion. If the writer's message can be conveyed in the movie, then that's on them. I'm not gonna watch hours of interviews and read up about the cameraman's backstory and what his favorite movie was just to find out why a particular shot looked the way that it did and what emotion it should invoke. Like, I ain't got time for all of that, okay? I barely have time for this movie, for this 2-hour movie. Like, yes, I will binge watch an entire season of a TV show, 1 hour each episode, but one whole movie is too long. Yes, it is too long. So I don't need to be doing extra research outside the movie just to come to some sort of conclusion. No, thank you. My time is precious. I'd rather be watching Futurama for the 5th time in a row. What were we talking about? So instead of trying to come up with a good argument for each side, I'm just going to try and convert you to my side. If you still think, like I did, that Owen and Maddie were living in the real world, then maybe I can convince you otherwise. So let's get to it and talk about the evidence. So I'll be jumping around a few times since some of the evidence from earlier in the film relate to evidence later on in the film, so try to keep up. I'm also assuming from here on that you've already seen the movie, so I will be mentioning things out of order with that in mind. With that said, I'm just going to start from the earliest scenes first, so here we go. So first off, we have the name of the school, which is Void High, drawing reference to the Midnight Realm being a void that the characters got sucked into. The mascot of the school is a vulture, and as we know, vultures feed on the dead and decaying, And right now, the vultures, who are basically everyone that the Midnight Realm conjured up, are circling our protagonists, waiting for them to die. Go vultures! Owen and Maddie have a 2-year age gap, whereas Tara and Isabel are the same age. Now, Owen doesn't need to be younger than Maddie in the Midnight Realm, but this can be explained by Tara, who is Maddie, being buried before Isabel. This gave her a 2-year head start, assuming they were both put in the 7th grade when entering the Midnight Realm. The chalk on the road in front of Owen's house is the same drawing as the chalk in the first scene episode of the Pink Opaque. This shows a link between the world they're living in and the Pink Opaque. The time skip, although weak evidence, shows that time doesn't move linearly in the Midnight Realm. That's why time skips so much, and why neither Owen nor Maddie found it odd that during the first 2-year time skip, they didn't speak to each other at all. Maddie does notice time moving too quickly eventually, but that's after she runs away from home. Speaking of them not talking, in the show, Tara and Isabel only meet once in the first episode. The rest of the time they meet up in the psychic plane and talk through there. Owen and Maddie similarly only meet one time before the 2-year time skip to watch the Pink Opaque, and then only communicate through the tapes that Maddie makes for Owen. She also must be communicating with him in some other form, since we see a quote in one of the scenes that says, "Tara and Isabel are like family to me," which between the two is a more Maddie thing to say. Maybe these floating words are their communication through the psychic plane without them realizing. In the Pink Opaque, the last time that the girls were supposed to meet up in person was at the end of season 5, when Tara gets caught and buried before Isabel. Similarly, in the Midnight Realm, Maddie gets buried before Owen, but we'll get back to this later. There is one scene where the two are talking and they bring up their sexualities. Owen mentions that when he thinks about that stuff, it feels like
someone took a shovel and dug out all of my insides, and I know there's nothing in there.
This can be taken literally, since his counterpart Isabel is literally missing her heart because it was taken out of her. And when he asks if Maddie feels the same way,
I don't know.
the look on Maddie's face says, "Yeah dude, same." Because the same thing happened to Tara. Owen then says he's too nervous to open himself up and check what's inside. Although he's referring to his feelings, we get a glimpse of what Owen is like. He's the type of person who doesn't think too hard about things because he's afraid of what he may find out. He represses the truth and keeps himself ignorant so he doesn't have to face it. All this to say, even though he's talking about his sexuality here, we can extrapolate it onto who he is as a person and see how this affects his reaction to the truth about the Midnight Realm later on. In the next scene, we see Maddie crying as she watches the show because seeing Tara and Isabel makes her long for the show to be her reality. She mentions that the show feels more real than the real world,
The Pink Opaque feels more real than real life.
and that she'll die if she stays here.
Die if I stay here.
Now, she is talking about the town itself, but she's also subconsciously aware of the fact that if she doesn't wake up from the Midnight Realm, she, and by extension Tara, will die. We then see this weird staticky light appear over the two while they sleep next to each other. Owen definitely sees it and even checks to see if Maddie's awake and sees it too. This must have something to do with their psychic powers from the real world manifesting, possibly because they're so close to each other at this moment, both physically and emotionally. Who knows, maybe if they did run away together, it could have led to their powers growing stronger over time as they stayed close by to each other. But they don't run away. Owen chickens out and gets himself grounded. He's scared to leave his home and be on the run, but he's also afraid to accept that they need to get out of there, out of town, and out of the Midnight Realm. Maddie runs away on her own sometime later, and coincidentally, the show The Pink Opaque gets cancelled that same month. This is because the show is the memories of the two kids, and it only manifests in the Midnight Realm if the two are close to each other, as a way to see into the real world caused by their powers. And with Maddie gone, there's no show. Maddie shows back up 8 years later, and she's got some big news for Owen.
I've been there. Inside the show. Inside the Pink Opaque.
And now she's back to save her friend. We don't get to see what she saw, but she explains it all. She managed to exit the Midnight Realm by burying herself and passing on. She crawled out of the ground. and found where her and Isabel's hearts were being kept, and she knew she had to come back in order to help Isabel get out. All the explanations she gives for the effects of the Midnight Realm are pretty straightforward. The false memories, the time dilation, Owen saying how he feels like his insides have been dug out, it all makes sense now. Maddie says that she escaped the Midnight Realm when she was 22, and if you've been keeping up with the dates in the movie, she should be about 25. We know the movie starts in 1996, and Maddie's in 9th grade, which would make her 14 or 15, and after 10 years, Maddie should be around 25 years old. This tells us that she was outside of the Midnight Realm for a short while, but was missing in it for 3 years. These 3 years are unaccounted for in her story, but we know where she's been. This part of the movie where Maddie is revealing to Owen the truth about the Midnight Realm should be the big reveal of the movie. Now the problem is, when she reveals the truth to Owen, it doesn't feel like it's the truth. There's still this air of uncertainty where you might think, is she crazy? You might still doubt her in this moment. But I think that the movie should have doubled down here and made this the reveal that it was. They should have gone all out. It reminds me of the scene in Fight Club where you finally find out that Tyler Durden wasn't real. That part of the movie is very important for the rest of the movie because it lets you know concretely that everything that was happening was really happening by the main character and not by Tyler Durden. So in this movie, I Saw the TV Glow, we really should be feeling like Owen has awakened and the truth is now revealed. Even if Owen doesn't accept the truth, we as the audience should know the truth. We should believe Maddie when she says that they are stuck in the Midnight Realm. I feel like it makes a lot more impactful for the rest of the movie. The way the movie plays out from here, it still feels like they might not be in the Midnight Realm, but I don't know, I feel like they should have just stuck to it and said, yes, they're in the Midnight Realm, here's your proof. So basically what I'm saying is, I think just like how Fight Club benefited from having this concrete reveal that we can take as the truth, I Saw the TV Glow could have benefited from the same sort of reveal. We get to see what the last episode of season 5 was in a memory that Owen has. And yes, a memory, because when Owen's looking for the tape, it's during the day, since we can see the light coming from the window. It also doesn't look like he finds the tape, so it's unlikely that it was a scene of him rewatching the episode in the present. So around 8 years ago, after Maddie sends him the last episode, he watches it and starts to realize that his true identity is that of Isabel from the TV show. We even see Mr. Melancholy holding a snow globe with Owen in it. Looks a lot like the first scene we saw of Owen. That's why he starts shouting, "This isn't my home and you're not my father." While his father holds him over the bathtub, we can see Owen throwing up, but instead of liquids, it's some sort of drawing, and we can hear TV static while this is happening. This, I think, is Owen realizing the truth and is somehow forced to push it out and forget again. Owen himself doesn't want to accept the truth because he's afraid of what it means and what he has to then do. So, does he accept the truth in this moment and follow Maddie back to the real world, back to the pink Opaque? No, he doesn't. So once again, Owen ditches Maddie. And he never hears from her again. We even see one hole by the football field where there would have been two if Maddie were still around. So we can safely say that Maddie has given up on her friend and decided to leave the Midnight Realm alone. Also, fun fact, Amanda and Mr. Melancholy are both played by the same actress. Mr. Melancholy was keeping an eye on Maddie and was there in the Midnight Realm to cause trouble, like when he started that rumor about Maddie. Also, Marco and Polo can be seen standing in front of Owen's house randomly disguised as two boys. I call these goofballs Marco and Polo because honestly I have no idea who else they could possibly be. Like, why the hell are they standing outside of Owen's house in the middle of the night? What business do they have with him? They don't even try to stop him from going to meet Maddie. They do nothing. It's such a short clip and nothing really comes out of it, so yeah, that's all there is. I've heard people online saying that these two are the main characters from an old TV show called Pete and Pete. I don't know if there's a hidden meaning or reference here, but like I said before, we should not have to look outside the film to get answers for things, so I'm gonna ignore that rabbit hole. One interesting thing that the movie doesn't tell you is that Marco Polo is the name of a crater on the moon, which is where the characters Marco and Polo get their name from, and shows the name's connection to the moon. Nothing to do with this video, I just like that fact. In this shot, we see "There is still time" written in chalk. This is Tara from outside the Midnight Realm speaking to Owen through the psychic plane. This is how her words managed to manifest inside the Midnight Realm. At this point in the movie, Owen isn't ready to face reality, so he doubles down. He decides to stay where he knows he's safe, and after his father passes away, he says it's time for him to become a man and that he's got a family of his own who he loves more than anything. But we never see this family of his. Instead, when he says that line, we see him bringing in a new TV. This is another way for the Midnight Realm to keep Owen docile and trapped, hooked on watching TV and not thinking too much. I wonder what this has to say about the rest of us. Anyway, Owen finds the pink opaque on a streaming network, and somehow, instead of starring Tara and Isabel, it now stars 4 kids and it looks very different. A lot more like a kids' TV show. This is likely because Maddie has left the Midnight Realm, and without her, the show doesn't contain their memories of Tara and Isabel. It's one more way for Owen to become completely assimilated with this reality that he's chosen. No more reminders of Tara, Isabel, or suffocating underground. He's being blue-pilled hard. He could probably look for those old tapes that Maddie recorded for him to cross-reference what he's seeing on TV, but he never mentions it, so we'll assume the tapes are either lost or they show the same thing as the TV. We get one more time skip, and now Owen is an old man working in a kid's arcade. We can see that some of the games are based off the TV show The Pink Opaque, which is odd. It would be a very old TV show at this point, and the machines look fairly new. It's almost as if Owen's psyche is still trying to remind him of the Pink Opaque and is conjuring ways to remind him of his true reality. In the scene where Owen's singing at a kid's birthday party, he suddenly loses it and starts to... Everyone goes limp here. They're not shocked or frozen, they're hanging there like a bunch of lifeless puppets. I think the simulation is breaking here. This is a moment where Owen is able to stop the illusion of the Midnight Realm at a time where he's completely lost control. We then get the scene where Owen finally gets to open up and see what's been inside of him all along. Yeah, I can't show this on YouTube. This scene is really interesting and I think is very important. So Owen opens up his chest and he sees TV static and a bright light, and you might be thinking, what does this mean? And to me, it means that the Pink Opaque is real and it's his true self. His true self is Isabel and he can't ignore it anymore. The light spewing out of him is like an enlightenment enveloping him. He is now fully awakened to the fact that he is trapped in the Midnight Realm and that he does need to go back to his true reality before it's too late. This scene, more than any other, I think reveals the truth about the Midnight Realm, because why else would Owen be seeing what he's seeing unless this is somehow his true self? Owen knows what he has to do now and he's determined to leave the Midnight Realm. He smiles when he sees the Pink Opaque playing inside of him, and with his purposeful stride, he walks out of the arcade to join Maddie like he should have all those years ago. And that's why I think that Owen and Maddie were truly trapped in the Midnight Realm. There's a lot of evidence for the contrary as well, but this is the conclusion that I came to. Like I said, I don't like the vagueness at the end of the movie, and in this one it kind of ruined the twist for me. I originally thought that they were in the real world and that Maddie was just going crazy the first time I watched the movie, and the second time. But at some point going over the evidence for both realities, I ended up changing my mind about it. But it took a lot of effort to come to this conclusion. Some movies like Shutter Island and The Others have great twist endings. Spoilers if you haven't seen them. Shutter Island is an example of a movie where you might not be too sure what the truth is at the end, but you probably have a pretty strong guess. Whereas in The Others, the twist is very clear. There is no ambiguity. The family is and always was dead. I like the simplicity of that, especially if the writers meant for the audience to come to a specific conclusion. Knowing that the Pink Opaque was real would have made the rest of the movie after finding out Owen is trapped in the Midnight Realm more impactful, since we as the audience would have to endure watching Owen repress the truth of his reality. It would also raise the tension for us because we would be stressing even more about Owen staying and dying in the Midnight Realm. It's also a lot more fun being able to go over a movie a second time and seeing all the clever clues that point to the twist. Maybe that's what they were trying to do here, but it just didn't click for me like that until I started combing through the movie with a fine-toothed comb. You shouldn't need to put in all this effort to draw a conclusion, but sometimes you do. And while I don't think that by itself makes a movie good or bad, it doesn't help in my book. But anyway, let me know what you thought in the comments below. Do you agree that they were in the Midnight Realm, or do you think that Owen and Maddie just caught a really bad break? Leave a like and subscribe if you like this video and want to see more. I have plans to make videos covering all sorts of topics in the future, including ones about cartoons and maybe even anime. So let me know what you'd like to see next. See ya!